Hey folks, welcome back to our Final Fantasy VI Playthrough Pro Challenge. This is part number 16. We're making some pretty good progress now. And if you recall back to the last part of this video, we were about to go into Daryl's tomb, and in fact we did go in there briefly, but we decided to go out of there because we weren't quite ready or we were just out of time. Either way, I forget, but it's irrelevant right now, so we are now back to the point where we're going to head into Daryl's tomb. And we did some quick menu swapping around, making sure we had all the right items, spells, weapons, armor equipped, yada yada yada. You've seen this 15 times already. You know what to expect. Okay, so we're about to head to Daryl's tomb. We got some interesting enemies here, and I promised I wasn't going to say interesting, and already, right off the bat, I failed to do that. And here we go, killing some bogeys. And I kind of like the special move that this thing uses, the Oogie Bogey. Yeah, it's a regular attack, I know, but corny play on words. Works enough for me. Alright, we take down the two bogeys, we're about to go back into the tomb, and this tomb is actually, the dungeon rather, is very short. There's not a whole lot of exploration that needs to be done. However, there is one thing in particular that you definitely want to get here that you can't get pretty much anywhere else aside from maybe the Colosseum, which we haven't really talked about yet. And you're going to see what I mean very shortly here. We will discuss that in depth and why it's so important. So one thing you're going to notice very quickly in this particular dungeon is there are many enemies, particularly these ones, the Exo-Rays, who will inflict the zombie status. So that is why it is critical to head in here with a hefty supply of Revivifies. And if you don't have any, don't worry, you will be getting them by the truckloads. For every enemy you kill that's undead, at least that's the way I think it's going to go, you get a Revivify. So you should end up leaving this dungeon with anywhere from 10 to 20 plus Revivifies after it's all said and done here. So basically what you want to do, go to the bottom right, there's a couple chests. The first one is a Genji helmet. That is an extraordinarily awesome helmet that can be equipped by just about anybody. We're going to put it on Edgar and give the Regal Crown to Sabin, or swap that, you know what I meant. So now they both have extremely good headwear. And we're going to head to the bottom left now. We already went to the top left, nothing there. Now down here there's another nice chest we can open with a few more undead enemies. And I tend not to fight these. If it's just one, I say go ahead and do it. If it's multiples, like you're about to see here, probably not worth it that much because you run the risk of being zombified here. But we're going to take our chances. We're going to take out these guys, hopefully, fairly quickly. Now one thing you're going to notice is that, again, we did do some offline leveling, offline power leveling here. And we have Setzer has the trump item here. It's the trump weapon. And the nice thing about the trump is that it will automatically kill and dispatch any enemy or non-boss enemy on the screen. And actually, I can't even say that's not true because there are occasions, such as what you're going to see later in this video, where it will sometimes kill a boss enemy. But my point is with the trump item, you need to be careful because if it hits an undead enemy, it will bring them back to life instantly. Now in that chest we got the Crystal Mail. Give it to anybody who has diamond level armor or below. And before it's all said and done, you're going to want to make sure that you have a full set of crystal armor with all of our allies here. Obviously they're very expensive. Now we picked up the Sarina Gown. That is a armor that can only be equipped by Realm. And we haven't really located her yet. We don't know where she's at. So that indicates that yes, you can still get her in the game. We haven't run across her since the World of Balance, but I assure you she is here. Run up, press that button. Now check this out. Go to the far right, and you can actually walk through the wall in a hidden passage to another treasure chest here. If you didn't know where that was, or if you knew nothing about it, you would have to uncover the entrance to that room, or the hidden passage, via a clue. And we're going to show you how to get that clue and what that clue is, just for funsies. But for the sake of this challenge, I'm just going to show you how to get to that bonus chest. Go far right, go up right again. Experience Egg. This is arguably one of, if not the best items and relics in the entire game. What does it do? Doubles all the experience that you might obtain. So, if you're looking to power level one of your allies and friends, that is the best way to do it. Get the Experience Egg, put it on the weakest player, or put it on the strongest player, whichever one you want to level the quickest. And I will say that that's pretty important, because before you enter the final dungeon and go after Kefka, you want to make sure, ideally, that all of your party is around, I don't know, 45, 50, somewhere in there, at least all of your main party, possibly everyone in your entire, probably everybody, let's be honest here. Now, do you have to do it? No. If you are properly set up with items, weapons, and spells, it really doesn't matter that much. But since this is a no-death challenge, we will be doing quite a bit of offline power leveling, but that's another topic for another video that you'll never see because it's all offline. Alright, getting back to this video here, lots of power killing, lots of power fighting, and power magic spells. Keep on hitting, hitting, hitting. That's an example of the trump hitting an undead enemy. Notice how it came right back to life. Same thing here, hit an undead enemy, right back to life. So, with Setzer, you may be better off just using darts or magic spells if you have them equipped. Unfortunately, with Setzer, I only have curative spells, so that's kind of pointless. Setzer is really nothing more than fodder right now, although he could be used to cure. Kind of a downside. Man, how many times are we going to kill this thing? 4 or 5 possibly? And it finally goes down. Alright, that takes care of that. We're going to head back up, and Setzer's learning some good stuff. He's a little behind the curve, but that's okay. If you think back, we didn't really utilize him that much, if not ever, in the World of Balance, outside of 1 or 2 occasions. Alright. So, one thing we're going to do is take this thing down, just not use the undead enemies with killative striking items like this. I know that's not really a word, but whatever. And a couple things I have done to be preemptive here is I have put the Gale Hairpin and the back guard on 2 of my allies here. So basically what that does is that increases preemptive attacks and it decreases back attacks. Now you notice there we got a turtle here we're going to float across. And the reason we can do that is because of the switches that we hit here. One there, and then one down below where that turtle was. If you hadn't done that, you'd be at a dead end. We're going to opt to kill these things. Let's see if Setzer does what he has to do. Yep, he does. Alright, so another option you have with Setzer is if you absolutely have to use them, is just use the slot attacks. And more often than not, you'll get something nice and helpful. If not, just keep on doing what you got to do. Like I've been saying, the worst thing to worry about in this dungeon is just being turned into a zombie. And by the time you get to this point, it really shouldn't matter too much, because you should have a pretty hefty supply of Revivifies. Now that kind of stinks. Yeah, Celeste is not helping us too much. Here's the X Zone, in case you've never seen it. It will randomly send enemies to another dimension and outright kill them. That's kind of nice, right? Now remember, there is a trick that we can exploit here. It is called Vanish in X Zone. You can put any enemy in this game, almost, into Vanish status, make them disappear, and then use X Zone for a 100% guaranteed kill. It is awesome, it is cheesy, and it works. And the only reason we're going to abuse it is because it is a no-death run. Alright, now here, you have multiple gravestones to take a look at. This is unnecessary given what we've already done with the experience egg, but if you didn't know how to get that, this is how you would obtain the clue to find the room here. Basically, you read all 4 of these tombstones. It will give you random letters, and then you have to arrange them in a certain order on one tombstone back at the start of this dungeon here. And if you do it in the correct order, it will read a certain way backwards, and it will tell you exactly where to go. Or rather, not really, but the game will tell you flat out how to do it. And I want to show you something interesting here. A lot of people think that those letters are just randomly arranged and you just have to put them in a certain order after clicking around and mashing around with the buttons, right? No, there actually is a specific order and a specific reason you have to align them that way, and we will point it out when we get up to that point in the dungeon here. Setzer's learning a few more magic spells, which are kind of nice to have. I don't think anyone has Osmos or Rasp yet. We're going to go ahead and cure everybody up. We're going to head back up to the top left, and we're going to show you what exactly you were supposed to do with these tombstone code letters. We go all the way back up. Top left room, right over here. Now you have one right here. Yes, we're going to carve something. Carve them in this order. Go with the bottom one, then go with the top one, and then the third one, and then the second one here. Now, if you read that very carefully, you may have to pause that video and read it. I like how they play the death music here. Find the experience egg hidden in the back room of the 3rd basement. Basically where we found in that bottom room against the wall. That's where you would go to find it, and the only way you would know to look there is based on that clue. But getting back to my point, if you go back to what we just did, if you pause the video and you read that clue backwards, it actually says the world is square. Obviously a reference to the game developers, right? And possibly something else, but pretty sure just the game developers. Nice little touch there. But that's how you figure out where the experience egg is if you didn't already know. Alright, that's out of the way. Gonna go ahead and kill this enemy here, and we are now going to proceed toward the end of the dungeon here. Oh, I hate this attack, Sour Mouth. Basically turns one of your allies into an imp, poisons him, and puts him to sleep. All nasty stuff. And if you have the remedy, it's kind of nice to use. Yeah. Dark, imp, and what's the last one again? Let's see. And poison. Yeah, antidote. Or you could just use remedy. All kinds of spells that you could be utilizing here. So if you do get hit with that attack, it's annoying, but just cure yourself up, heal up, and then continue on. Alright, now we're going to go to the middle section here. Down across the turtle once again. Go across to this turtle. It's going to take us up north. Hop off through the door. Okay, now you're going to have an option here. Two paths, left or right. Both of them have treasure chests. Take the one on the right, and you'll see why. The right chest has an item that you want to pick up. The left one has a monster in a box. And while you don't really have to have the item on the right, it's nice to have. It's called the Man-Eater. It's a dagger, basically, and just about anybody in the game can utilize it. So anyone who does not have a great attacking weapon can use it. Put it on somebody, basically. I'm going to put it on Setzer because that undead killing item thing can backfire typically. Although in this instance, I do want to have the Trump equipped on Setzer because you can insta-kill the boss very shortly, and you're about to see that. So check this out. Monster in a box. What exactly is it? It is called the Presenter. Now notice very carefully, that is Welk from way back at the start of the game, but he has a treasure chest in his mouth. Interesting, huh? Well, as you might have guessed, if you kill the head that's holding the treasure chest, you will get the present inside the chest. If for some reason you kill the shell, the treasure chest disappears and you can no longer ever again get the treasure in the chest. So don't be dumb, destroy the chest, get the treasure within. Alright, now I did mention that it is a very good idea to bring Setzer and his Trump weapon here because you can insta-kill the boss, which is true. Unfortunately, it is not a fail-safe, and a bigger problem is that if he accidentally hits the shell, you could insta-kill the shell and risk not getting the prize. So you need to be extremely careful with that. What I recommend you do, if that is going to be your strategy, is to use Setzer as your hitter, and then utilize everybody else to keep the party alive. Because once the boss's head goes into his shell, he is going to use Magnitude 8, which of course is an Earth-based attack. And unless you have Float equipped on your party here, they're going to receive anywhere from 200 to 300 damage apiece. And although obviously that's not going to outright kill anybody at this point in the game, that is a significant chunk of damage, and you don't want that to happen right now. So, see, that was another case I got very, very lucky that the game didn't end right there. Or the challenge, what am I saying? Not the challenge, but would have missed out on the treasure here within his head. Anyway, it's a very good treasure. Trust me on this. You do not want to let it go. And you might be thinking, why don't I just forget about this monster in the box? No, this is one that you definitely want. It is a very, very nice item for one party member in particular. So trust what I got to say here. Keep on trying. It is beneficial to have it. Just wait for the monster to come out of his head, and then wait for Setzer. Give him an opportunity right here. And let's wait and hope that this does it. That was a critical hit. Very nice attack. Now, keep in mind that this boss does have a little over 9,000 HP, so you could take it on traditionally and still get the job done without much of a problem. But of course, I think it's much quicker and easier to just hit it straight in the head with the Trump darts and just get the boss over and done with. Now, you might also be saying, why don't I just do Vanish and X Zone? Well, the problem with that is that you, by doing it that way, risk killing the shell, and you risk losing the treasure that goes with it here. So I recommend not doing that. We're just going to wait for the head to come back out of the shell. It's not going to be very long. Just be patient. You can see I'm having a hard time doing that right now because normally I would have this boss and this item out of the way. But the boss is not playing very fair right now. He's being very slow and unfriendly with us. So we're going to wait for him to pop back out of his shell anytime now. One more Magnitude 8. See, I already know what to do. I'm just getting Cure 2 ready to go. And this is why having the Cure 2 spell is so useful on all of your party members. 300 plus HP a person getting healed up here. So we lost about 330, 340 apiece. We just gained it right back, plus some. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this should do it right here. Gone. Perfect. Isn't it nice when things actually work out according to plan? I wish it would have worked out a little bit faster, but we still got it done here. Alright, now what did we get? Let's see. We got the Dragon Claw. The Dragon Claw is, up to this point in the game, one of the best weapons for Sabin to use. It is a claw attack, obviously. Wow, look at that battle power increase. 70 points of battle power increase, up to 214. Keep in mind, 255 is the max battle power you can have for an individual weapon on one hand. So, Sabin is rapidly approaching the upper limits of his power outside of blitz techniques. And there are still a couple very powerful ones that we've yet to learn. One of them, I believe, we should be learning as soon as we exit this dungeon here. So, keep on keeping on, take out the enemies as quick as you can. And we are just about at the boss of this dungeon here. And you're going to see there's a very good reason we wanted to do Vanish in X Zone. Can you take out the boss traditionally? Yes, of course, but once again, on a no-death run, play it safe. Play it cheesy if you need to, but make sure you win. That's the bottom line. Setzer, Sabin, everyone's learning stuff, gaining weapons, possibly gaining gold. Alright, make sure everybody is back to full life. We're making sure that at least somebody has Vanish in X Zone. I know for a fact that Sabin has both. I believe that Setzer has X Zone, so one way or the other, someone's got something. This will be a relatively easy boss fight. I will say, if you play this boss fight the traditional way, it can get rather troublesome. Now, you could say, well, first of all, let's just let it play out first. Daryl sleeps here. We are in the tomb of Daryl's tomb, if that makes sense. And here we go. Dollargan is the boss. He looks like a ghost carriage, basically. Ghost horses, Ghost Rider. He hits us with level Pearl, and that basically hit everyone in the party, which kind of sucks because it halved the HP for everybody here. Now, he's got some pretty nasty attacks, both physical and magical. We're not going to worry about those. We're just going to go right in. First of all, cure yourself up back to full health, just in case something goes wrong and he gets an extra hit in there. First of all, here comes the Vanish. Going to make him disappear, and here comes the X Zone. Setzer banishes him to another dimension, and because he is invisible, it works 100% of the time. 5 magic points. Very nice to have. Beautiful. Easy peasy. Easy cheesy, you might say. Alright, and we are now going to move ahead. There is a somewhat lengthy cutscene here, and although I love the cutscenes in this game, as we all know, the point of this video is to show us beating the challenge from start to finish, mainly the action sequences. So we're going to let this play out, but since you can kind of see the story here right now, as you can see, going back in time, Setzer had a friend, girlfriend possibly, named Daryl, who had a lot of things in common with each other. They like to do airship racing, and you're going to see as the story plays out, they agree to meet up later in the day, after Daryl takes off on her own. And sadly, the Falcon, the name of that airship, wrecked a year later, and they just then found it. So what did Setzer do? He saved the Falcon, basically, and put it to rest under there in that tomb underground. But now that they've retrieved it, everyone feels that they have a chance to do what needs to be done and take Kefka down. Okay, so a lot of stuff is happening right now. Basically, as you can see, we have control of another airship, and we have free reign to go anywhere and everywhere we want to go. But first thing we're going to do is follow this pigeon to a nearby town of Miranda. Miranda is kind of uneventful, but it does lead up to a point where we can find the next one of our missing party members here. But before we do that, check out the armor and weapon shops. We have progressed from diamond to crystal armor and crystal mail, crystal shields, and some other stuff. We have, what do we have? Oath Veil, Dark Gear, Tau Robe. These are some of the best base defensive weapon itemery things that you can possibly find in the game outside of the special weapons and armor, which we will find. So you're going to see also that this stuff is very expensive. Buy what you can, trade in the stuff that you no longer need, and continue on. We're going to be buying a lot of crystal, and we're going to be trading in a lot of the stuff that we don't need. So whatever you know for a fact is old, outdated, and will never be used, go ahead and sell it off. I probably could have got rid of the enhancer, but whatever. So once you feel like you're good to go and you've done everything you need to do, go over to the weapon shop, do the same thing. Now the weapon shop, you're going to see there are a couple nice daggers and swords that you can buy, and at this point in the game, we could elect to buy a couple of those, but for the sake of what we're doing, we really don't have the GP to spare and to spend. We're going to keep what we have in terms of weaponry, and we'll come back later when we do have the money, and we'll purchase it at that time. The relics are pretty good at this point. Alright, we take a step into the weapon store here, and like I was saying, some pretty decent weapons for this point in the game. You have the Falcon, which was one of the highest rated base swords in the game outside of the specialty swords. Swordbreaker, also pretty good dagger. The Gravity Rod is good for casting, either demi or quarter, one of the two, I can't remember. In any event, if you don't have anything better and none of the other specialty weapons, I advise that you buy those. But at this time, we don't have the GP to do it, so anytime you have to choose between weapons and armor, you always err on the side of the armor because it's more important to stay alive than it is to deal more damage, especially in a game and a challenge like this. Now anyway, with the story here that you're taking a look at, we need to basically find Cyan. It's talking about Cyan's handwriting, and clearly this is a very good indicator of who we're trying to pick up next. And we don't know exactly where to go at this point, but guess what? We're about to find out after we take a look at this little pigeon here, and let's see where he's going. Now, we don't really know this map too well because we haven't really done a whole lot of exploring since we just got the Falcon. But let's see where it goes, and you can kind of get a hint after it lands in a specific area. And if you remember the map geography of the World of Balance, you probably know where this town is. If you need a hint, I'll go ahead and help you out. That's the town of Zozo. So we're going to head to Zozo, and hopefully we can find Cyan there. And I'll give you a hint, we definitely can. It would be kind of pointless to talk about him if you couldn't find him there, and we definitely can get him there. Now, Cyan is going to play a much bigger role. Well, I don't know about a bigger role, but he's going to play a role certainly later in the game in terms of getting more important stuff. For the time being, before we head over there, we're going to do a little bit of exploring on the map. And, oh, what's this? We got a little interruption here. Oh, check this. We have an optional boss, Doomgaze, to take advantage of. Or rather, he takes advantage of us. Look at that HP total, 55,000 HP. And he just wiped out Sabin with level 5 Doom, which basically is the same thing as those trapper enemies back in the Magitech factory. I will tell you right now, at this level, it is nearly impossible to take out Doomgaze, unless you take advantage of a little glitch trick. Now I know what you're thinking. Vanish X Zone, right? No, it doesn't work. Now, it will technically kill him, but you will not get the benefits and the prizes and the rewards. In order to pull off the quick kill on Doomgaze, you need to do Vanish and Doom. That will give you the quick kill. Unfortunately, I don't believe anybody in our party knows Doom, so we're just going to inflict as much damage as we can and hopefully not die in the process. And we're very lucky that we didn't die right now. Yeah, Celeste basically saved our hides with only 95 HP remaining. And honestly, I don't think Cure 2 is going to be enough here. We have to hope that Doom escaped, and yes, he did, thankfully. One or two more attacks, and that would have been the end of it. We got very, very fortunate there that we got out of there alive, and the challenge didn't just end right there. It left us with only 1 MP. Man, we got royally screwed over there. Now, I think it's probably best that we get ourselves back to full health before we do any more exploring here, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to get back in our airship, go to the nearest town of Miranda, go ahead and stop at the inn, get ourselves back to full HP, and we are going to do a little exploring of the world of Ruin in our airship before we make a determination and a decision as to what to do next. Because remember, we're at the point in this game right now where if we really wanted to, if we felt confident and comfortable, we could go right into the final dungeon right now and make an attempt to beat this game. But of course, if we die even one time, that's the end of the challenge, and it would be all that time down the drain for nothing. So, we are not tackling Kefka's final dungeon right now. We are going to try to find some of our other allies before we make that final trip. Here's Solitary Island, where we began the World of Ruin with Sid and Celeste. No need to go back there at this moment, although technically we could. I believe there is a hidden Esper back there, so we will go back there eventually. That's Kefka's tower, like I was saying. We could drop in there right now, but we're not foolhardy and stupid, so we will ignore that for now. This is an optional dungeon called the Phoenix Cave, and one of our characters is missing in that cave, so we will go in there at some point. I would advise not doing that right now unless you've got ribbons. More on that later. Going down here, here is a place called Ebbett's Rock, I believe, and here is another town that we've seen before in the World of Balance. Take a guess. What do you think it is? Aha, that would be the town of Themasia. Now, taking a quick look in here, do they have anything new and different? It's pretty much the same stuff we saw in Miranda. In fact, it's even worse. They don't have the crystal stuff. It's only diamond. So I try not to really buy much of anything that I don't need for weaponry outside of Miranda, because that's the best town in the game, really to the end of the game for this for this point. So if you do need to upgrade, if you have the GP to spend on anything really, go ahead and do it if you really feel like it. I'm going to keep what I got. Notice how we still have the Atma weapon, right? Or the Ultima weapon as it's called in other games. We will probably utilize that as we get a little bit stronger here. I don't think it's really worth it at this moment, but we could. Buy whatever you need. I think it's always important, as always, as we know, to have at least 3 of any specific base item. We bought ourselves a tent. Alright, now we know that Themasia is normally where we found Strago and Realm. I will tell you they're not in the town right now. So where do we find them? Well, that is another topic for another time. For right now, let's do a little bit more base exploring. This is a great island to explore. You will also find possibly another potential character here, but that won't be for a while. This right here is Dinosaur Forest. Extremely difficult dinosaur enemies to kill unless you know how to glitch and cheese them with Vanish and X Zone, which we certainly do. But we're not going to do that right now. Ooh, here's a hidden house. What's here? Well, let's continue on with the Setzer tours. We disembark, and what do we got here? We got a house. Ooh, I remember this guy. We found this old dude out in the Veldt, way back in the World of Balance. Gaw's father. It's quite possible. Now, unfortunately, we don't have Gaw with us. So perhaps maybe if we come back here with Gaw, something different will happen. But we don't, so that kind of gives us an idea. Why don't we look for the Veldt and try to find Gaw? And I will tell you, we can do just that. This is the Veldt right here. If we go to the Veldt, by the way, there's an optional cave right there we could go into. We're not going to do that right now, though. We could stop on the Veldt and make a great opportunity right here to try to find him, and that's exactly what we've tried to do. And unfortunately, we tried for quite a while, and we still couldn't find him. So, for that reason, we're just going to skip ahead here. We've got 4 failed attempts to find him. Getting Gaw back in the World of Ruin is just the same as it was in the original World of Balance. You just have to find him and hope not to hit him, and boom, he's back in your party. Very simple stuff. So because we didn't find him, we're just going to finish up these last couple battles here, get back onto the airship, and we will continue on with the next part of the Setzer tour guide. And we'll see what other kind of towns and optional stuff that we can do here before we make that decision to go to the next part of the game. So that was the Veldt. Eventually we will find Gaw there. What's this? Ooh, that looks like a castle. But what castle? I think it might be Doma Castle. Maybe that's where we find Cyan? No, it can't be. We know he's in Zozo. But yes, there is Doma Castle, and we didn't really do a whole lot in Doma Castle in the World of Balance, which makes me believe that we will probably be doing something here in the World of Ruin. Hint, hint, we will. Not till later, but we certainly will come back to that. Alright, we're going to keep on moving along, and we have another town here. We know where that is. A lot of the stuff you're seeing now we've already seen before. We just flew over a couple different deserts, and ooh, what's this little... Is this the Opera House? It looks like it could possibly be. That's what it was the last time we saw it in the World of Balance. What's this? Colosseum. Ooh, a monster fighting place. Ooh, there's Ultros. Hopefully we don't have to fight this guy ever again. And hint, hint, we don't. We fought him 4 times in the World of Balance, and he finally got the hint. Now, the whole point of this Colosseum is to wager specific items and weapons and trade them in for better things. Now, the only catch is that they are random fights, and you get to pick the character that you use, but it's a random fight, and you have to hope for the best. If you win, you trade, and you get the better item. If you lose that item forever. It is gone, and you have to try to win it back. Do not do it until much later in the game when you are damn near overpowered. So we're not going to do that right now. We're going to keep moving along and flying around to see what we got here. Now that right there, that is the Opera House. We could go in there, but I will tell you that's pretty much optional at this point. You don't have to go there. And the reason why is because there are several very difficult sub-bosses and optional bosses, I should say, hidden throughout the World of Ruin. And they will tear you a new one if you are not properly leveled and prepared, which we are not at this point. Now, it is worth saying that we should take out as many of those optional bosses as we can, because they hold great weapons, items, armor, and things like that. But we're going to stop right here from now on this northernmost island and go to this cross-section of trees. We got one more little enemy battle here with a crawler we're going to do with first. We're going to take it out hopefully quickly and harshly. It's going to try to raid us, which is basically stealing health. Just call it drain, call it what it is. Kill the enemies fast, and we're going to see why this section of the game, of this cross-section of tree forest, is so important here. Hint, hint, it definitely is. Ooh, save and learn bio, that's a good poison spell. So we go in here, and it turns out there's a single house with an old man coming in. Duncan, ooh. Now, if you think back to the World of Balance, Duncan was the man that we all thought that Vargas killed. Well, it's not what happened. He actually sustained that battle, he sustained that injury, and he is still alive through the World of Ruin. So what's happening here? They're going through their final training. Sabin and Duncan are learning a final skill together. And they finish up, and he learned what's called the Bum Rush. Ooh, check that out. I've always loved that part there. So the Bum Rush is the most powerful blitz skill in the entire game, and normally, unless you come here, you have to earn it the old-fashioned way, and you don't get it until, I believe, somewhere around level 70 or so, if I'm not mistaken. Now, clearly, we're not going to wait that long, so we did it this way, like most players will do. So, here's how it works. It is a full circle from left all the way around clockwise, strikes a mortal blow. Most times it does. And if it doesn't, it deals significantly massive damage to a single target. We will be using the Bum Rush from here on in as the primary attack for Sabin from here on out, unless we are forbidden from using physical attacks, which, by the way, there is a section where that does happen. Oh, by the way, check this out. Remember this? Remember what this used to look like? Yeah, that's Narsh. Narsh is still here. We have the option to go in there. And I will tell you right now, we will be going into Narsh very soon, because there is another character here that we need to try to get back. Think back to the beginning of the game. What were some characters that we first encountered in Narsh? Well, he's not the one I was thinking of. Pickpocket, huh? Well, think back. Who was Pickpocket picking a fight with, huh? Yeah, that gives you a pretty good idea of who we're trying to locate here in the town of Narsh. Yep, they're still here. Only problem is, there are now random encounters that you have to worry about in the town of Narsh. So, you're going to take out these enemies without prejudice, or you could employ the Charm Bangle if you don't feel like fighting them. Here's the Bum Rush. Yikes, I hope you don't have epilepsy, because that's pretty much what happens every single time you use the Bum Rush from here on out. He does a dance circle all around, and more often than not will outright kill any enemy that he touches with that Bum Rush. Ooh, check that out. I just realized that. Sabin is now over 1,000 HP. That is going to slowly become the norm. All of our characters will be over 1,000 HP, and even higher than that as we continue to level up our characters here. Here's another example of the Bum Rush. Put on your sunglasses and your regular glasses. 3,300 damage for that single blitz skill. Redunculous, yes. But again, that's the skill you're going to be using as your primary source of attack for the remainder of the game here. Kind of a cheese, kind of a cheat in some respects, but hey, if you know where to go, it's part of the game, right? That's really all we're going to do. We're going to save, and we'll do that in the next part of the video. So thank you guys for sticking around. We'll see you in the next.